episode, and here's why. Is that the only person that can be held accountable for the death of 4 Americans overseas, and if they knew about it, is the President and the Secretary of State. And they misinformed the American people knowingly. And when they did that, now they're guilty of more than just IRS fraud or leaking documents. And the thing here is that they can go, we're going to hold accountable those people that we find wrong in the IRS. They can hold accountable somebody who did something wrong, but if they knew about it and did nothing, then they have to be held accountable. So I think we're still in the throes of a liberal media and administration cover-up here to redirect our focus to something that is a bigger problem, and that's poor foreign policy and sitting on the hands, the American president sitting on his hands while Americans were dying and him knowing about it.
Well, it's an interesting thought, Sean. I'll tell you why I don't think that's the case. If it is, then this has to be the dumbest bunch of people ever to show up in Washington, and not just at the White House, but, to get a room at the Holiday Inn Express, which is supposed to make people a lot smarter, I understand, but in this case, obviously didn't, because here's the thing. Benghazi was largely being ignored by the mainstream press. And certainly it was being kind of tamped down and even dismissed as unimportant by the Democrats. These other two issues, first the IRS and then the investigation and the raiding of phone records from the Associated Press reporters, that has lit fires under Democrats and the press. In other words, here you are operating where the only real opponent you have, a handful of conservative Republicans, Fox News, Talk Radio, and some bloggers. Only ones paying attention to Benghazi. Everybody else is moved on. Hillary says, what difference does it make? And so that's kind of the official cultural view of Benghazi.
What difference at this point does it make?
And so, everybody kind of accepted that. Until this issue blew up with the IRS, and that torqued off a bunch of Democrats, because a lot of them, as much as they may have enjoyed the results of having Republicans and conservatives and Tea Parties targeted, they knew there was no way they could defend that. They may have even secretly delighted in that it had happened, but they can't defend it. And they all had to run from it, which they did. And all standing up there beating their chest, somebody's going to be held accountable for this. And then the AP thing, once you start messing with the press and violating the First Amendment rights of the press and the separation that is supposed to clearly exist in a free society where the press has to have the freedom to criticize the government. And if the government gets in trouble because of its incompetence, you can't go punish the press for it. That's why it just doesn't make sense to say that the Obama administration would plant these kind of stories and leak them out, because, again, if they did, it is truly like lighting the exploding cigar in your own mouth and then forgetting that it's going to explode, and when it blows up your nostrils, then you said, oh yeah, I forgot, that was an exploding cigar.
I screwed up.
Yeah, he really did. And I don't think the end of it is here. Later this hour, we'll talk to Rt15, the chairman of the Republican National Committee. We'll also continue to take your calls, 855-840-4825. We'll take some of those calls right after this. This is the Mike Huckabee Show. Mike Huckabee Show.
Going back to the Mike Huckabee thing, you cost me a lot of misery, and all total, $2,700 in doggy fees, and all it took was one container of dynamite. 2 pounds, 3 ounces, and my dog has been cured. Abby's a 5-year-old silky terrier. She had chicken pox on her belly, clusters of bumps on her back, and she was allergic to 70 some odd things. So the dermatologist, it was, just keep giving her needles every 10 days. Oh, she's not clear.